Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. At last, we are ready at our final day of our conference, and I think everyone can take now a deep sigh of relief. It's been a fantastic and non-stop 2 weeks of sharing and spreading the knowledge about worldwide internet. So before we wrap up, we would like to hear about some discussions with one of our speakers one of the speakers here is from Epenix, which are Senior Network Analyst, Mr. Warren Finch.
Thank you for the warm welcome. My name's Warren Finch. I'm one of the trainers at APNIC. So this afternoon's talk's about artificial intelligence and ChatGPT. Can I get a show of hands? How many people have heard of ChatGPT? Just as I thought. So there's a lot of hype around ChatGPT. So with that in mind, I want to talk about the artificial intelligence and what goes into the ChatGPT. So for those people who don't know Douglas Engelbart, he was one of the founding inventors from 1956 that came up with the idea of the computer graphical user interface and the computer mouse. And so just a famous quote there, and I'll talk about that a bit later on. Next screen, please. Thank you. So with the start of the talk, I want some audience participation. So I'm going to use this a bit later on to help highlight what ChatGPT is. So what I want you to do, I found a use for that piece of paper that's been on the desk all week. Apart from taking notes, I want you to help write a story. Now we're going to do this in stages. So starting on this side of the hall, if you've got a piece of paper in front of you, can I get you to take it out and write one line of a story? Doesn't matter what it is. It could be once upon a time. It could be today I'm sitting in a hall listening to someone talk about ChatGPT, something. Just one line of text and give that to the person next to you. So for example, I'll give this to Brad. And you'll need to tear it off. Do you want a pen? You'll need to tear it off, and he writes the next sentence. Then he's going to fold over the piece of paper so that my sentence is hidden and give that to a third person. Now, the third person can only see the text that Brad or the second person has written. And you're going to add your sentence based on that information you're reading. Then you're going to fold it over so that way the second person's text is hidden and only yours is shown, and you pass that on and you keep going. And we'll see how we go at the end of the talk, what we come up with. Hopefully we'll have lots of different stories and funny ones. So while that's being passed around, let's get into the talk. So artificial intelligence, what is it? Essentially, it's just different ways of trying to get a computer to mimic human intelligence. There's various definitions for that. And when we look at the artificial intelligence side of things, we've got this different areas. So you've got artificial intelligence, which is the way of trying to get a computer to mimic the environment of a human intelligence. And then you use different technologies for that. And one of those is machine learning. With machine learning, you've got different types. You've got supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning. Now, in 20 minutes, you're not going to be experts in artificial intelligence, and I'm not going to explain decades of science. Instead, we're just going to focus on the reinforcement side of things. This is what ChatGPT tends to use from that point of view. So when we look at the artificial intelligence, it actually uses machine learning to teach a computer to act with human intelligence. And it does that by using machine learning to repeat a task until it learns that task. But our artificial intelligence applications use three key components. They need some data, they need some sort of algorithm, and some sort of human interaction at this point, in simplest form. So with that in mind, that's how the ChatGPT tends to work. And so what you're going to have with your machine learning is you're going to have your data, and you need to break that up into your test data or your training data, your test data, and then the real information that you want. And that's what this is looking at here. So you create a model and your algorithm, you get your data split up, you train that model, then you go back and say, oh, it didn't quite work. Let's optimize it. And then you keep going through that process. And there's been different iterations that have been put in the public presence on the internet that has gone wrong. And this is where ChatGPT is a little bit different. And when we look at artificial intelligence and that machine learning, we're hoping to achieve something that's going to be useful to the wider community, like natural language processing, a search engine, or video recognition, or doing automation with robotics. So that's what we're trying to achieve when we do that. So this brings us to ChatGPT. We've got this model that's been trained, and that model is using natural language processing. It's developed by an organization called OpenAI. And with all the hype that's out there, I'm not focusing on OpenAI, but you can go have a look at that. But essentially what it's doing is it's using this reinforcement learning from human feedback. So it's doing that machine learning technique, but it's using that reinforcement learning. So essentially what it's doing is it's using that training to do a trial and error. So it's going to ask a question to the model responds, and if it responds in the way that I want it to respond, I'll give it some sort of reward for that. Some statistics about ChatGPT. The latest version that's been released was released in a beta or research preview on the 30th November 2022. But it's been around for quite a lot longer than that, and we'll look at that in timeline. Now, when we look at this, the hype that went with it, 1 million in the first week, in less than 5 days, and we'll look at that in more details. Now, it's been 2 months since the research release has been out there in the wild, and then now I've got a paid subscription. So there is a business model that's going to go with that, because it's expensive with all this processing power. It's about $3 million US to run. So the hype within 5 days, to give you an idea, Netflix, last century technology, took 3.5 years. And we can see different other influenced software out there and how long they took. ChatGPT took 5 days. Now, for the more traditional, like me, before the internet was very popular, we looked at airlines, automobiles, and telephones to get to 50 million users. In this case, if we looked at telephones, it took 50 years. You know, those things that are wired to the wall. Now we all got one in our pocket. With ChatGPT, to reach double that amount, it took 2 months. Now, I have put an outlier in there, the Pokemon Go. It actually took 19 days to get to 50 million users. So if you gamify anything, it gets very popular, something to think about. And if we go back to those other popular influencers that are there, think about TikTok. That's one of the latest influencing software out there. That took 9 months to get to 100 million. So there is a lot of hype going on. And if you go to any friendly neighborhood search engine, I'm sure you're going to get some sort of response about machine learning, artificial intelligence, and business cases that go with that. So what's happened with this, if we have a look, is that we've got our timeline here. So GPT is just referring to the type of model that we're using. So we're using the generative pre-training transformer, and the number is referring to what version it is. So in this case, version 3. And it's just a language model. Going back to the artificial intelligence, we're using that NLP language model. And it takes a large data set of text and it runs it through that training process to figure out something to do with it. As I mentioned, the beta release was 30th November. Since then, there have been 4 updates, and we can see under the trends how popular it's been going. So what is it actually doing? It's using something called predictive text. So it's using natural language and it's looking at what you type in, and then it's figuring out based on where your words are and predicts what's coming next. To give a simple example, think of a game of chess where you got set moves based on the position of the pieces on the board. That's essentially what ChatGPT is doing. It's not intelligence. It's just looking at existing information and saying the letter the or hello appears either at the beginning of a sentence or something like that. And so when we look at that, what we have is this example here. We've got 2 kings and a horse. It's whites, move next. And so all a computer is going to do is figure out all the moves that could possibly happen from where the positions are there. So if we only had 3 words in a sentence, the computer looks at those 3 words and determines what can come next based on those words. And with that, it will come up with these solutions when you can move to that position. And then based on which one you choose, it's then going to come up another set of positions and so on. And that's what predictive text is doing. It's basically using the artificial intelligence to suggest what word comes next. So that piece of paper that is going around is doing something similar. You're not seeing the original line of information. All you're seeing is what came previous. And then you're making a best guess at what should go next. Does everyone understand that? So that's what predictive text is doing. So for example, if I asked you to finish this sentence, once upon a time, you would come up with something depending on your background and what you have as previous experience. The timeline, it's been going on for quite a while. Version 1 actually was trained way back in 2018. And that data set was a small amount of data set. And we've got other versions coming through, including ones that generate music and singing as well. There's also voice recognition as well as image creation using artificial intelligence. So you can do a text to image description. You write out a description and it creates an art or an image of some sort. What I've put for the future here is that this year we're looking at more updates and the rise of the clones. So there's a lot of tools out there that are starting to build up. And next year, who knows? And then 2025, I put in world domination, but only joking. You never know. Terminator. On the ChatGPT website is this process going through how they train the model up. So they have this proximity indicator there that tells us where, so we've got this proximity policy optimizer. So that's what this PPO is here. And it uses a training model first, and it's supervised, say human interaction. Then it's going to look at the training model and use a reward model saying you've answered correctly and reward it in some way. Now the algorithm is hidden. You can try and ask ChatGPT what that algorithm is, but it'll say it can't tell you. But you can ask for other things. And then what it does, it's going to use that training model to then build up this proximity policy, saying which words should be close to each other. And then it just builds up and refines that. And so you're essentially using natural language processing. Think about how you learnt to read and write yourself. You got different rewards when you got the sentence right. You got a tick or an X or a sticker or something like that. That's similar to what they're doing with the computer. So what is the data set that ChatGPT has? So it's done a common crawl. So it's looked at certain parts of the internet, and that's the majority of the data set. Then it's got academic journals, Reddit links, books, and Wikipedia. Remember, your experience is going to influence what you can do in the future. That's the same with ChatGPT. It's going to, this data set is what it knows, and it's fixed in time. So one thing that is different to other artificial intelligence models that are made public is that they keep learning. Whereas with ChatGPT, it's fixed in time and it doesn't learn anything else. It understands that current session, but as soon as you finish that session, it forgets it. Okay, it's like talking to someone with Alzheimer's. They'll be able to talk to you and be in the present, but then they only remember what's in the past. And they can't make predictions. So what can you do with ChatGPT? One of the simple ones that seemed to come out was being able to write, debug, and even explain the code. So if I go to a website, find a nice piece of code, I can paste it into ChatGPT and say, tell me what it does. Obviously, being a bot, you can get it to do customer service. You can do text generation, text classification, and so on. One of the interesting ones I liked is this idea of telling it to say, think you're a Linux terminal and act like that. And you can get it to do printouts and learn Linux. Interesting. I never knew that one until I did this research here. So what we're going to do is start looking at some of the examples of what we're doing with ChatGPT. Now, there are plenty of tutorials out there that will show you what you're going to be doing, but essentially you need to create an account. It still has a free version that you can get access to. So how many people have an account on ChatGPT? Not as many who have heard about ChatGPT. So you can still go get a free account today. Play with it, have fun with it. So think of a topic, ask it anything, and you'll be surprised what you get back. But you need to create a list of questions to ask. And then based on the response, you need to refine or get a better answer by changing the way you ask the question. Now, I did like this Twitter response that this person said, and that's exactly how I felt. I thought when I first saw it, oh, this is great. Now I'm not so sure. There are some interesting things there. Creating accounts, quite easy. You can do the sign up and so on. Normally, if I had a longer time, I would go through that process. But this is where the prompt engineering comes in. It's a new, I don't know if it's a new term, but when I did the research, asking the right question will get you the right answer. So garbage in, garbage out. Everyone understands that term. It's software, isn't it? So if you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. So you need to make sure you spend time figuring out what you want to ask it and ask it in the correct way. And so that's where prompt engineering comes in. So you create the question itself to build up what the answer should be. And I'll give examples of that. Very simple examples, but they'll still be the same. Again, in 20 minutes time, I can't teach you that. It's another skill in its own right. If you want to learn more, David Shapiro has some great videos on prompt engineering. If you're not a person that likes watching videos, there's a great book by Dr. Alan Thompson, and he's got examples of different prompts and how you can change that around and various links for that. So let's get into it. For those people who haven't seen ChatGPT, again, I haven't got time to go through and logging in, but I've pre-asked some questions. Being a conference called Apricot, I thought I would ask a simple question first. And my question was, what can you tell me about Apricot? And it starts off really well, but if you notice, it actually has mistakes. One thing with ChatGPT is that it will gladly tell you anything. It's artificial intelligence. It doesn't know it's lying. It's just going to keep telling you. It's said here that APNIC was the organizer of Apricot. We all know that there's someone else down the front here that does the organization. So I thought, okay, let's do it the other way. I'm supposed to be writing a closing keynote speech. Let's see if ChatGPT can do that. So I asked it the similar question. Write a closing keynote speech about AI, machine learning, using ChatGPT and all this, but in the style of Dr. Philip Smith. Again, what it knows is limited, isn't it? So what you experienced in the past will influence what you can do in the future. And it looks like it doesn't know how Dr. Philip Smith writes and talks, because it starts off with, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be speaking. That doesn't sound like Philip at all. So I thought, okay, let's change a different tack, because originally this talk was about using ChatGPT to write your next IPv6 deployment project, but the PC came back and said, we like the talk, but get rid of IPv6. So I had to leave some in there just in case. So what I did is I asked it about IPv6 and writing deployment project and doing a workbench layout. But I also asked about happy eyeballs, because as part of that process, you got to test your connectivity. And so I then asked it to write a script. And sure enough, it gave me a script. There was a lot of prompting, which I've left out, but I was able to get a script from it. So I didn't mind that. This one is for manners. How many people know about manners? Raise your hand. Yeah. So we all know that there's 4 rules to do with manners. So I thought I'd ask it about that. And it did really well. Filtering, anti-spoofing, coordination, validation. No problem at all. Some of you might not know, I'm from Australia. So I thought I'm going to personalize the manners 4 rules. So I asked it to generate those 4 actions or those 4 rules in 21st century Australia in Ochre instead of English. And so it's replaced it with things like chuck on a filter. Don't be a spoof, keep in touch, check it, mate. So it's great for fun sort of things, tongue-in-cheek sort of things. Now, when it hit the news mid-November, early December, it caused a lot of issues. And there's this, oh my God, factor. Think about this. This is natural language processing. So what do people try to do? Write essays, write stories. But there's also things like, how do you use ChatGPT to assist with writing your information? And so this was one of the first research papers that actually reference ChatGPT as an author. Because all these universities saying it's plagiarism, it's plagiarism. But if you actually reference ChatGPT as an author, is it plagiarism? Because everything is made up. So it's never been used before. So I thought that was interesting from that point of view. Early, about 2 weeks after the release of ChatGPT, a security researcher, Colin Cowrie, actually used it in a productive way. So there's this website called Ransomware Watch, and he grabbed the JSON file from the ransomware watch and he asked ChatGPT to help write a visualization tool for this ransomware JSON file. And he's actually put it up on GitHub. So that's a good thing. So it's a community source tool that is now being used from a security point of view. This is a little bit different in regards to, this is later, this is earlier this year, and it's gone towards the paid version. But the idea is that you have security researchers. The security researchers do analysis of ransomware, malware, and then they write a blog or they update somewhere. Then your organization has to keep up to date with all that and figure out what they need to do on their network. So what this person did, Secure List, they said, why don't we see if we get a detection engineer and ChatGPT and see if ChatGPT can do a better job than using a human body. And they found there was a comparable result for that. So that's the good side of things. On the bad side of things, they started saying, hold on, ChatGPT helps you write code. So what did people do? Help me write a code to do pen testing or Nmap scan or whatever. And so there's all these bad news in regards to that. So you've got hackers can exploit ChatGPT. Script kiddies can use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is causing issues. We need to regulate it. Knee-jerk reaction, that sort of thing. So bit of a problem. Then obviously academia freaked out. You've got things like the schools. We're going to ban ChatGPT. It's no good for education. But it's technology. Do you think that reaction was like that for computers? 3 decades ago, computers, schools didn't want them. Books are best. What happens now? Most schools have computers. Every child has a computer, or there is computers there. And so what we should be doing is embracing and changing our learning models, just like the computer did. We need to embrace it and use it for good. However, on the commercial side of things, guess what? It's a natural language processing. You can actually use ChatGPT to write stories. And so Clarkesworld is a science magazine. They had to shut off their submissions because they were getting all these ChatGPT submissions for articles and so on. So not good, especially when you're paying per article. So what did OpenAI do? They wrote a tool to look at the tool to see if it's written by the tool. Yes. So all the school assignments that go above 1,000 words, you know they're going to put it through this to check if it's artificial intelligence. But guess what happened a few days later? People showed videos on how to use the tool to rewrite the tool's output to make it look like it's not artificial intelligence, to get around this tool. So you can't win. People are smart and they like to use things differently. The ugly. I've mentioned that ChatGPT is text. There are tools out there now that can be text to voice, text to video, text to image. And so it's changing the way the landscape is. So we've got different ways of identifying ourselves. One of those is biometrics, but you can now use artificial intelligence to look at existing content and use it to do things. And so it's now making it harder to secure your devices and your verification. In Australia, this one's a funny one because this particular politician, Julian Hill, used ChatGPT to write his speech about the dangers of ChatGPT, and it referenced that it's going to cause mass destruction, Skynet. The downside is also the human side of that. Remember, this is a reinforced learning model where they used human interaction to reward the model. In Kenya, those people were charged $2 per hour. So there's the human side of this technology. We need to be ethical and responsible when it comes to that. And then again, another example of the AI generated voice, but this time it's using celebrities' voice to make not so appropriate content. Europe is a bit worried about it. So they're thinking about regulating it as well. China is thinking about regulating it as well. So the reason why you may want to regulate it is that, as I've already alluded to, is that ChatGPT looks at what you tell it. In this example here, it's asked, what is 10 plus 10? And it answered correctly with 20. But then the person responded with, you're wrong, that's 25. ChatGPT goes, oh, sorry, you're correct, it is 25. Then it's asked to prove it, and it proves it to be 25. But it's not memorized. Remember, it's only for that session. It doesn't continue learning. The other thing is that everything you were typing into ChatGPT is going to be used to improve the service. So the version 4 is getting all this public released information that you freely give to it and there. Now, what we have is the rise of the clones. So you've got Bing from Microsoft and Bard from Google. That was an interesting month when that happened, because Google alluded to this new tool that they were going to release with AI, and Microsoft beat them to it by a few days. And then when Google released Bard, they soon took it off because their market shares dived quite heavily from there. Bing is now using the AI integrated into Windows 11. So for those people who have Windows 11, as of 2 days ago, you've got that integrated into your taskbar when you update next. There's other versions that are coming out from different organizations, Meta, Snapchat, Baidu, Naver, and I wasn't able to confirm this one. The reason why I say that is because I queried ChatGPT and other sources for that. If you're interested in keeping an eye on this, it's changing daily. It was hard to write this presentation. I was still updating this last night. Now, when I took this screenshot about 3 weeks ago, there was 700 tools on the website. Today, just before the session, I checked, it was over 1,000 tools related to artificial intelligence, machine learning, image creation, and so on. So within 2 weeks, 300 new tools have popped up. It's just changing rapidly. As part of my research, does anyone know about the Catholic Church? And Rome is very famous. A couple of years ago, in 2020, they called together a few of the religious leaders, Microsoft, IBM, and they started this call for AI ethics. And then last month, on the 10th, they also got some other religious representatives from the Jewish community, the Muslim community, to also sign on to this call for AI ethics. And the idea is that you have transparency, inclusion, accountability, impartiality, reliability, security, and privacy. Sounds very similar to what we talk about with the internet, true? So needing to think about that impact on society and how we are going to be responsible for that. So in summary, if you look at ChatGPT, it's a great tool to play around with. Think of it much like search engine. You can ask it questions. The way that you ask questions is going to be completely different to a search engine, but you can ask it. And it's not designed for a specific task at this point in time. They've opened up the tool so you can get people designing it for a specific task. The other thing to keep in mind that it's artificial intelligence. It's looking at the data set it has access to, and it's providing answers based on predictive text. So it's not going to be correct most of the time. A good example is when I wrote the IPv6 talk, I asked it to list 5 RFCs to do with IPv6. I think only one of them was real. Even though it looked absolutely valid, I thought, oh, that's a really good RFC. I haven't read that one before. Oh, it doesn't exist. And if you are going to be posting questions, don't do anything that is to do with your organization or private, because it's public domain. So think about that. And someone recently put this up about a week ago, talking about a kill switch engineer working for OpenAI. Are you able to unplug computers just in case Skynet happens? So I think that's great. So can I get a raise of hand who has the paper that was being passed around? It's gotten back to you. Only one paper. So much for audience participation. Oh, I've got another one there. So if you've got a phone, can you take a photo of that and throw it up into the social media, giving a hashtag of Apricot 2023. I can read this one. We'll see how we go. We'll just read it. So remember, with predictive text, you don't see the full text. You just look at what came beforehand. So the first line, yesterday I caught a pig using a pillowcase. The pig was too large for the pillowcase. So he decided to go for a diet. So he went to the gym. Everything was on fire. The future is now, but I have to be prepared. Internet is everything. I'm very scared, maybe. I had not heard about the internet before. So I found a cave and hid in it. Again, I came out and do the same. IoT, next world. Someone wrote really tiny. I've got the wrong glasses on here. My arms aren't long enough. Oh, I'm going to have to skip that line. The next word, so I'm going to skip that. And they lived happily ever after. We have to do continuous improvement. We need to something. I can't read the rest. So you can see based on that, it sort of makes sense, but it doesn't. So with that, I would not give you a reward. We'd have to go back and retrain you, but we get there eventually. So it's an interesting thing from there. So finally, the last question that I asked next was to write a limerick about apricot. So I thought it did a really good job. So you can ask it to do poems. So I was very popular around Valentine's Day and Christmas, writing greeting cards. So here's a limerick. In the Philippines, apricot did shine, a tech conference so very fine. 2020 was the year networking experts did appear. To learn and share, what a great sign. Apricot is a gathering so neat where techies and geeks go to meet. Operational tech is the game. Internet growth is the aim, a place where knowledge and skills do compare. And so I thought that did a good job. Now, as a bonus, this is what you should be asking, not small questions. So the slides are available. Try that out and see what you get. But that's how you do the prompt engineering in a more complex way. It's not a simple question. So you tell it to act like something. That's it. I was going to say any questions? Old habit. It's a keynote. I hope that was informative.
No. Any questions for Warren? You sure? How about thank you, Warren, for not bringing the dried kangaroo tonight. Joke.
I didn't bring it. Yeah.
Thank you. Let me now call on Mr. Achi Atienza for the closing remarks.
Mic test. Magandang hapon. Good afternoon. It's been a long, I can't even count the number of days. But on behalf of PHNOG, Thank you for the support and the trust. And I would just like to give some recognition to some of the peers and everyone. Next, please. So when we did apricot, we want to have it a local flavor. We started to translate it in the local language. Local language is actually Tagalog, but we wanted to have a deeper, more Filipino. So this is the Bible in text. It's based on syllables, and we wanted it to be authentic. So we asked the University of the Philippines to actually translate it. Took us a while before we got here. And the first thing they gave us was a translation of apricot, which is actually incorrect. So we had to do apricot. This is the actual text for that one. For some, if you noticed yesterday, those guys wearing purple shirts, it has the apricot text, and that's for the crew. I would also like to recognize the volunteers. These guys here, not all of them are on the photo because it was quite hard and difficult for us to get everybody together. This is more or less a collection of everyone, the network guys, the socials, and more or less those who actually stayed. Everybody from the volunteer team, can you please stand up? So thank you. If you have concerns, please contact them. For most of the stuff, it was like a DIY, and we wanted to have a very original flavor. So this jeepney sign and everything was actually crafted conceptually, and I had to ask my daughter to draw it. She's 15 years old, and of course, my younger one would like to put some hidden messages somewhere which I cannot find. They're not here right now. I think they're still in school, but yeah, recognizing them as well. And this actually has become a family affair. I personally dragged my wife is here. So she helped arrange almost everything. Even during PH time, she was in the back end. So having said that, all those working in the background, I would like to recognize you as well. Give yourselves a round of applause, everybody here. The crew, the staff, everyone, thank you. And of course, sorry, my bad. Of course, I want to thank Philip and Molly for trusting PHNOG. Philip, please stand. Molly and Nasir. We didn't have a group photo with Zoe. I see Zoe at the back, Eva and Ben. Those guys at the back, please say hi. Thank you as well. And of course, for APNIC, APNOG, the sponsors, everyone, thank you so much. Group hug in the socials later. And next step, so apricot, check. If you want to come back to Manila, we have PHNOG this coming July 10 to 14. It's almost similar to apricot, but it's just 1 week packed with a conference, a meeting day, peering forum, and workshops. And that's it. And I think you know what's going to be next. So this is the selfie photo when we did the opening socials. And I think it's very appropriate to do one more before we close. So I'm going to do my thing. And let me see. Okay, the first test shot. 1, 2, 3. So they call this a millennial thing when you do the back of the camera. So let's try this one. One more. 1, 2, 3. Have to check. It's good. Thank you very much. Before we actually end, we prepared a special video that highlights the entire event, and would like to ask the crew to play. Thank you. Thank you and welcome to the Philippines. Welcome to Apricot 2023.
Apricot has been amazing, it's been vibrant, there's a great positive attitude and some amazing people here.
Welcome to the Philippines!
So we were super happy to gathering with all the friends and partners in our community. And thanks for APNIC and BX North for organize the whole event and give us the opportunity for gathering and catch up. Thank you.
Apricot 2023!
I've been waiting this for 3 years.
3 years.
So I'm very happy that finally we are here in Manila.
Yeah, it's great to see friends, old friends, meet new friends. Yeah, it's very good.
It's been fantastic to see a lot of friendly faces, some old, some new, and also to experience the Philippine culture as well.
Apricot is really about bringing all the community together in all shapes and sizes so that we can actually have a productive week here. We hope the program prepared by the program committee is interesting, that you find something that gives value to you that you can bring back home to help with your day job and your career in general.
Sorry, I need to be back. The photographer asked me to do another selfie. How? Here. What do I do? Just. Thank you. Back to the MCs.
Thanks a lot, Ashi, for that, and that for the amazing memory lane video highlight. So we would like to invite Mr. Paul Wilson for his closing remarks from APNIC.
Thanks, Ashi. No clicker, no presentation. Look, I'm not sure what else there is to be said. It feels like everything's been said, maybe not yet by everyone, but it doesn't mean I have to bore everyone to death with repetition. I just want to say thanks to all of you for joining Apricot this week. Huge thanks and congratulations to PH Nog and to ASTI, to AP Nog, the program committee, and to the whole APNIC team involved with supporting the event. Well done. Thanks to everyone. It's really great to be back here after a 2-year break, and I think it's pretty clear that Apricot is still important to the community, even after 2 years down. And I think the same is true of APNIC 55, which was held during the week as well. We had a full track of APNIC content this week, as we do twice a year, and I think it's been a great meeting. Today, we finished with the APNIC annual general meeting and an election for 4 positions on the APNIC Executive Council, the board of directors effectively of APNIC. It was heavily contested as an election with 14 candidates and at least twice as many votes and voters as normal. For those who haven't heard, the elected members are Maz Yoshinobu Matsusaki, returned, Kenny Huang, returned, Rupinder Perha, who's actually returned to the EC after a time away, and Unlay Hu. So congratulations to all those elected EC members of APNIC. Thanks so much for running, and thanks to the APNIC members who turned out to vote and to support the election. That's an important process in the APNIC calendar, and it was great to see so many APNIC members coming along and participating. So at the end of the meeting today, we also took the chance to mark the end of an era for APNIC, which was Garab's term on the EC, 12 years with 7 years as chair of the EC. It was really moving to hear tributes to Garab. But the consolation for all of us, I think, is that he's not leaving us. He's going to be around, and we're going to see him again. Everything from the APNIC AGM, for those who didn't see it, is available on the website, and you can catch up with all the proceedings if you'd like to do that. So I think now that 55 is done, I just would like to encourage everyone here to please think about coming along to APNIC 56, which will be in Kyoto in September. APNIC always welcomes feedback, critique, suggestions, requests from APNIC members, and I really do encourage everyone who's involved with the APNIC community in any way to please come and open it up, give us what you've got, start a discussion on Orbit, if you like, our newly launched community discussion platform. Just on a quick note to finish up, I just want to mention for the APNIC Foundation that the ISIF grants for 2023 have opened today. So please, anyone here who'd like to submit a grant proposal, please feel free to do that and find it on the apnic.foundation website. I'd like to give credit to the foundation too for supporting 22 women and diverse network engineers from the Philippines and representatives from the economies around, from various economies under the Switch project, bringing 27 people here to Apricot. So those here in the room, I hope you really have had a great week for you especially. Thanks to everyone for being here. I really hope you've enjoyed the week. I hope to see you at APNIC 56, and where, by the way, APNIC will be celebrating our 30th anniversary. So see you there. See you at the social tonight or elsewhere. Thanks again. Bye.
Let me please invite Sir Philip. Yes, sir. Doc Philip. Just a joke, of course.
Thanks.
No slides, just an iPad, which I probably don't even need to read because, well, a lot of the things have been said already, which is I really appreciate. But anyway, it's been a very, very busy 2 weeks. Has it been 2 weeks? I think it's been 2 weeks. Very, very busy 2 weeks. Of course, we had the workshops taking place last week. About 150 participants, if we account with instructors and all the folks who came along to it. It's not quite what we were expecting at the start of January, but we had a rush of registrations for that in the last couple of weeks. So we ended up having a very busy time, which was great. Overall, 795 in-person participation, including staff, for the 2 weeks, which was, I don't know if I really expected that. I mean, we're post-pandemic. There's still a lot of good friends of the industry who've said they're not able to come, or budget cuts and all the rest. And to hit numbers like that, I think has been pretty amazing. So certainly very, very happy to see that attendance. So 105 participants online. So in other words, not here at the event, but just watching us online. It was streamed on YouTube and on Zoom. So we appreciate those who, pardon me, who are still interested in the event, but were unable to make it. So thank you for joining us that way. Another number just to note is 49 sponsors and supporters for the event. Now, I'll come back to the sponsors and so on later on. Keynote speakers, it's always an interesting challenge for the program committee to go and find our keynote speakers. This year we had some great keynotes. Thank you so much to Paul Vixie for basically popping across the Pacific to talk about Quick, and also to Bill Torres, one of the fathers of the Philippine internet, to talk about some of the issues that are facing, what he's concerned about for future network infrastructure. Also, Gautam Akwati, who was the APOP's keynote speaker, who again popped across the Pacific just to deliver his keynote. We appreciate that. And yes, I must mention Warren, even though I said to Warren, yeah, it's just closing a fun presentation at the end. I say when the PC saw the presentation, and it was very much focused on IPv6, and half the PC were kind of, nah, we can't really put that up because people might take it seriously and start trying to deploy based on the advice in that. And so hence why we've broadened the scope of it. And, thank you, Warren, I really appreciate sharing, because I hope that opens people's eyes a little bit more about some of the, what I would call challenges of AI and things like that as we move forwards this year and so forth. So carrying on, the workshop instructor team came from far and wide. I think the furthest traveled would have probably been Patrick Okui from Uganda trying to work. Oh no, Brian Candler from London. And of course, Hervey coming from, and Dale coming from the US. Otherwise, the team very much based here in the Asia Pacific region. Thank you for supporting those. Thank you to the APNIC training team for taking care of 2 of the workshops. Without all the support from everybody, it's very hard to do this technical training. And I'm happy to see that there's still a need for technical training in the industry in this part of the world. Otherwise, thank you to all the presenters, the session chairs, the panel members that we had throughout the week. And we should thank the program committee. We had 24 members of the program committee plus the chairs. We always have quite a large program committee at Apricot to give a good breadth, good scope for all the subjects that we cover in the conference. So some members go out there and chase down presentations, others will review content. All these contributions are valued highly and give the rich and diverse program that we have here at the conference. The fellowship program, sorry, I forgot one. I must mention Mark Tinka and Mariana Novakovic, who are the PC chairs. Again, Mara in Southeastern Europe, and Mark at the bottom end of Africa, just again represents some of the wide breadth we have in our community. So Mark and Mara, Mark is somewhere in the room, and Mara isn't able to be with us, but we really appreciate your lead in the program committee. On to the fellowship program. We had 26 fellows for Apricot 2023. Thank you to the fellowship committee and the fellowship chairs, Rupesh and FTAB, for leading the committee, and to all the committee members for selecting. It's always a very difficult job every year for selecting the fellows. It's all done by merit. We get a lot of complaints about, "Ooh, I didn't get a fellowship." It's all about what you're doing and how your application can benefit your local community, local internet industry, rather than just, I want a nice trip somewhere. So it's what you can bring back and how you can improve your own community. So I know there are a lot of disappointments with over 300 applications for the budget, which basically gave us 26 places. So thank you to all who applied, and congratulations to the successful fellows. Most of those came for the workshop week only. We only have 5 fellows for the conference week. Now, PHNOG. None of these events are possible without a local host. PHNOG has been heavily involved, not only from when we did the virtual event in 2021, but I think pretty much since Molly and I turned up for PHNOG in July last year. And I think then actually pretty much gave up his day job and started focusing on the production of Apricot 2023. He marshaled the local team, and together with Rianne, his wife, I suppose the kids as well. Together with the local team, I've spent a lot of time, many, many hours, tireless hours, days, if not weeks, preparing for this event. Even though we were shut down 2 years for the pandemic, I think a lot of us have forgotten how to do a conference. And so it's brushing off those memories and so forth to try and put the event together. I think the hotel had forgotten how to host events as well. There was a lot of really basic things we had to try and work through. A lot of suppliers who saw an opportunity after 2 years of, nothing. And so it was trying to work through all those. So I don't know what to say about Achi and Rianne and PHNOG. We've never had a host as good as this before, and really appreciate everything that you've done. And I think it's beyond expectation. It's the only thing I can really say. It's just been an amazing event. Had a Filipino style to it, which I really appreciate. So the way the MCs have introduced the events and the type of thing we've seen around in the venue, it's just been pretty special. So really appreciate that. Supporting organization has been the Department of Science and Technology, Advanced Science and Technology Institute. Director Franz from ST hasn't been able to join us, although he did pop in briefly yesterday. But Bani Lara and the team from ST have taken care of the network. I encourage you to have a look at Bani's lightning talk to explain some of the interesting challenges that have been had for the last 2 weeks. It has not been plain sailing from them. I don't know how much sleep Bani got, but I suspect not much. So it's been a pretty amazing job to put together the network infrastructure here. And also the other part of the ST team is sorting out visas and so on for the countries that needed it. It's been a really, really hard work for a few countries. And the liaison with the embassies and so forth is, they've worked so hard at it and in some pretty challenging circumstances. So, ST, even though they're their supporting organization, have done an amazing job. So we, again, really appreciate that. And thank you, Director Franz and the whole team for your support. There are other people. The Apricot is produced by a small team. Yet again, none of this would be possible without them, ably led by Molly Chaim, who is the Apricot project manager. But also we've had Zoe and Ben, Eva and John You've seen them all at the registration counter, running around and so forth. Without them, very little of this will be possible. It's a very big event to produce, a lot of variety, and their hard work every year, we appreciate that. So thank you, hiding at the back of the room, Molly and your team. Thank you. Finally, the sponsors. Pardon me, sorry, air conditioning has finally got to me. No event is possible without our sponsors. We're in challenging economic times at the moment. You know, we've had the pandemic, a lot of organizations have suffered badly with revenue and so forth. And likewise, trying to get sponsorship of Apricot's been a big challenge this time around. But it's interesting, if we count by numbers, we actually have more sponsors for this Apricot than we had for our last in-person event in Melbourne in 2020. So I'm not going to read them all out, but you can see on the big LED screen, and those online, you'll see the slide. You know, without your support, whatever you have managed to be able to give us, whatever your budgets have afforded, we really, really appreciate your ongoing support. Some of these sponsors have been supporting Apricot for many, many years. And we hope that you will come back and support us in future years as well, because without this, we can't put on an event like this. We can't put it in a venue like here. And especially, we can't keep the delegate registration fee as low as it is. A lot of people cannot understand how we can run it so cheap for delegates to participate when you look at other events. Our goal is cost neutral. We don't make any money out of this. And so we try and minimize the costs so that as many delegates can attend as possible. So thank you all the sponsors from my heart. We really appreciate your ongoing and continued support. Finally, the last event of Apricot 2023 is the closing social. The closing social is sponsored by APNIC again. And again, thank you so much to APNIC for sponsoring our closing social event. I think that event is where we just let our hair down. I think after, well, certainly for some of us, 2 weeks of this, we just want to go there and relax completely. So I hope all conference goers this week will take the opportunity to go to the social event and do enjoy it. Las Flores is a Spanish-themed restaurant in Es Maison, not far from here. They're just almost next door to where we were for the opening social. So all the conference delegates from this week are very, very welcome to participate. The MCs will tell you more at the end of the event. Otherwise, thank you all very much for coming to Apricot 2023. It's so great to be back in person. I think, as I said in the NOG organizers BOF yesterday, no more conferences on Zoom for me, please. It's, you know, it's just so great to be able to see people, talk to them directly, face to face. The social interaction is such an important part of this event. I'm just so glad that we've been able to do it once again. And thank you all very much. Safe travels home.
Again, thank you, Dr. Philip. And for the final act of this event, we would like to call Sir Richie. Sir Richie from PHNOG.
Hello, good afternoon. From the division of PHNOG, we will be doing a quick raffle. So we have 10 minor prizes available for everyone who's in the ballroom. So presence is required. We will be raffling off 10 power banks and 1 MacBook Pro for the lucky winner. So I hope everyone has provided their call cards or their names in the fishbowl. So let's still give you a chance for those who are here in the ballroom. We would like to request if you can put your call cards in the ball. Gumawa na kayo na unang sampu kayo. So, 10 power bank. Ano na kayo dito? So, ito yung 10 power bank. Hindi, baba mo muna. Baba mo na muna. Yung power bank. Pag, dapat nga ba inaba nyo muna yung tumbler? Kasi pag gusto lang. Sige. Hey, pag mabilis, kung pa naman ng isang buwan. Inilabas nyo. So our first batch of raffle prizes came from Rice Telecom. So we'll ask Ninja from Rice to pick the first 10 winners. Ten kagad. 10 ang pila kagad. Our first winner, Arshel Louis Datahan from Databyte Computer Sales and Services. Next winner from Primacom, Agong Tresnadi. May we call on Achi to provide the... For the next winner, Abilio Bernardo Caldas from APNIC. Next winner from SoftBank, Takeshi Sensui. Next winner from Netflix, Jeffrey Kleinen. Next winner from University of Canterbury, Richard Agustin Tamalyun. Next is from Mobicom, Ulsbold and Tyvin. Sorry, I just murdered your name. Next winner from JPNIC, Hiromo Shiozawa. Next winner, Andy J. Balwete. And the last winner for our power bank is Shikong Zhan from NNIX. And then for the next batch of winners, for our tumblers from JPNIC, For our first winner from JP Nick, Koki Nakagawa. From Institute Network Technology, Ivan Karakam. Karaan. Sorry. From RIPE NCC, Athena Fragcoeli. From Kelo University, Takumi Ishiara. From Seiko, Taisuke Sato. Again, from Netflix, Nayong Nikisio. From Edgio, Mei Chan. From RIPE NCC, Angela Dalyara. From Interland, Eric Andre Balinoa. And then last winner from Seiko, Kohei Suzuki. Jimmy, reduce ang may 10, 2, 4, 6. Sino yung wala? Eric. Okay. Angela. May Chan. Hey. From Edgio, May Chan. There. And for our final raffle prize, may we call on Alan Catley from Regis Telecoms to draw the winner for our MacBook Pro.
There it is. You can bring it.
It's a 2000 edition. Is that okay? Uh, 4 gig RAM.
So we will be giving away a 16 gig unified memory, 512 gigabyte SSD 14-inch MacBook Pro with Apple M1 Pro chip. So it's the latest version. So, Alan?
Okay. Okay. Our winner is from Globe. First name is Mike. Surname is Anselmo. Congratulations, Mike Anselmo.
Wave, wave. Thank you, everyone. Let me get back to our host, Clay and Ninja.
So again, everyone, we would like to express our appreciation to everyone who joined here in this kind of hybrid setup. So by the way, just a reminder, we still have a closing socials for conference attendees only. There will be a bus who will escort you at Las Flores. The pickup time will be 6:30 near at the Apricot registration area. So everyone, we wish everyone safe travels back to their hometowns. And just a reminder, be 3 to 4 hours early before your departure time, going to the airport.
Again, just a reminder for those who will be going out of the Philippines, please be reminded that you need to at least be early for 3 to 4 hours before your departure time so that you won't be late. Thank you so much and see you at the closing socials. Oh, please don't forget the theme is Spanish. Okay, thank you.
The cards because he had his name on my card. Oh. I want to know if it was a mistake or not. Oh, wait. Let me check. Richie Ricafrente, sorry. Paging Richie Ricafrente. Yeah, you have taxes? All right. Hold on. I'll just look for it.